Okay, welcome everyone. I want to thank you for hopping on here, and I'm sure more will hop in as we go. I'm going to pull this up on another screen just so I have it. So today we are going to be covering data. Oops, nope, I'm breaking stuff. Turning your database into a data bank. So just some things that you should have with you as we do a couple exercises today is pen and paper, and then just have an open mindset. So I'm going to go ahead and get my screen pulled up here and we'll get started. Okay. Let's share my screen here. All right. Okay, so if we have not physically met or have only talked on the phone, I feel like I've talked to all of you at least once, but my name is Rachel Vaughn. I am your Market Center Tech Trainer. I am over 4 total Market Centers, so if you don't recognize some of the other agent names, that's why. So I'm based out of Ohio. I am in Worthington and Westerville office, so Capital Partners in Excel. Capital Partners is my original Market Center. And then I have also joined Elite and Heartland in Kentucky. So I service all 4 Market Centers, but my home base technically is in Ohio. So that's why you don't often see me in person if you're a Kentucky agent, but just know I am 110% here for you and ready to help you in any way I can. I've been with Keller Williams just over 2 years. It was 2 years in June. So yeah, I love everything about KW, and you guys are seriously at the best brokerages in the US. So take advantage of anything and everything you can that Keller Williams has to offer you. Your leadership, we're truly here for you, and we want the best for you. We want to see you grow. So just to give you an idea of what we'll cover today, we're going to cover what is a database. I feel a lot of the times, especially newer agents, you get thrown all these terms in acronyms, especially Keller Williams loves acronyms. So we're going to go through what a database is. We're going to understand what lead generation is and tools for lead generation. Then we're going to go through MOFRs and scripting, and I'll explain what a MOFR is. So you understand. Then we'll end with some question and answers, Q&A. So again, all you need is something to write on, something to write with, and then a mindset ready for growth. So pen and paper, if you have a tablet and a stylus, a pencil and a post-it note, a dry erase board, whatever it works. But we will be doing one exercise that I will ask you to write some things down, and then we'll share those. So all right. So what is a database? Your database is your business. And I put this on here a million times because I want this ingrained in your head. If you don't have a database, you don't have a business. You will not stay successful if you don't continue to pour into your database and grow your database. Not only do you have to connect with it, you need to grow with it. So your database is your business. Without them, you are nothing. Just like without you as agents, leadership is nothing. So everyone you know or you have contact info should be in your database. Your landscaper, your grandma, your cousins, uncles, girlfriend, anybody and everybody you have any contact information for, anybody who, even if they're leads, you don't know who they are, or they're friends of friends and you don't know who they are, if you have any sort of contact information for them, they should be in your database. So often we don't think about big picture of how you can help people in other states and other cities. With Keller Williams, you have that connection. So don't exit those people out just because they're not in your area. So anybody you have contact information for, even if it's just a phone number, just an email, start with something, and then there are tools you can use to help bring that information up to the score that we want. So you have two different types of people in your database. You have leads and you have contacts, and understanding the difference makes the world, just changes everything. So lead is when you are tracking and offering. So that is typically a one-way communication, typically you to them. Hopefully that is the only one-way communication. If they are communicating to you and you're not responding, we've got bigger fish to fry. But one-way communication, and it is offer-based touch programs. So this is your marketing. This is other things that are not as conversational. That's commenting on a Facebook post, anything like that. So that's where you're going to see those. Those are your leads. And then you will, once you have a two-way conversation with them, then you're switching over to a contact. So that is, you are connecting and offering. So you're still offering, you'll never stop offering, but you have connected with them. So that's interactive, that's value-based. Who's talking? There we go. Sorry about that. So just, this is from, this is a little bit more updated than what's in the MREA. I will reference this book and the Shift book. So if you don't have these books, MREA and Shift, you need to have them. Get them on Audible, buy them on Amazon, steal them from your team leader. Somebody has one of these books that you can borrow if you don't want to buy them. They're like 12 bucks. They're not bad. I don't know how much it is on Audible. I'm sure it's free if you have a subscription to them, but you need these and read them more than once. If you've already read them, read them again. So this is, again, this is the altered version of what's in the MREA because it looks a little bit different now than what it was then. But it is page 143. So it looks a little bit different now. This is the updated version. So once you have your lead, you converted them to a contact, so you have connected with them. You are now in the cultivate stage, which is the interactive and action-based touch program. So that's, you're getting that much closer to getting them. They're now in the sales pipeline type thing. So if you've noticed, cultivate, so number 4 through 8, cultivate, appointment, active, under contract, close. If you have created an opportunity in Command, you will notice those are all the same ones in your opportunity pipeline. So I know it sounds crazy, but Command is designed to work out of the 4 models of the MREA. So we already covered the economic model and figured out your numbers. Now we're in the lead generation model, spoiler alert. So it is set up that way. So you're at cultivate, that is the nurture and qualifying stage. So this is where you start. After that lead has become a contact, you've had a two-way conversation, you have now had that full connection, and you have now started their pre-qualification for their buy or sell. And then once you have scheduled an appointment with them, you are in appointment. Once they go active on the MLS, or you're actively buying or trying to find a house for them, then you're active. Under contract is once you have a signed contract, and close is once you have a signed settlement statement from both parties. So that is the flow of lead generation. It is a lead, it is a contact, it is cultivate, appointment, active, under contract, closed. So here's now where we're going to do the exercise. So if you just hopped on, just grab something to write with. I want to know, I'm going to give you 1 minute, and you are going to list the lead generation activities. We're going to say the last 24 business hours. I know you guys work on the weekends too, but I'm not sure if everybody lead gens on the weekends, just because it's a little bit of a different time. So the last 24 business hours, or if you want to go the last 4 days even, I'll give that. So list that you completed though. We got to be honest. This is our honesty moment. lead generation activities you've completed in the last 24 to 48 business hours, if you want to go by a traditional calendar. So write those down. I'm going to give you 1 minute and then we're going to come back, and I would love if one person would share what they did. So, all right, we got 1 minute on the clock, and I'll come back in just a second. Fifteen seconds left. Okay. Does anybody want to come off mute and share, or if you can't come off mute, type it in the chat of what lead generation activities you've completed in the last 24 to 48 business hours. Anyone? Oh,
I'll go.
okay.
Nurture.
Go ahead.
Mine is,
Yeah.
I worked on,
You keep muting. I don't know what's happening.
let me try it this way. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so I worked on the my for sale by owners and nurtures.
Nice. Thank you for sharing, Jamie. Anybody else? Anybody in the chat? Even I'm not opposed to that if you don't want to talk. Would never force anybody into sharing.
I will share. This is Bonnie. I've been focused all day on pulling comps for a listing that I'm trying to get. So while it's not truly lead generating, it is, because I need to be prepared to have a meeting with the seller to be able to hopefully win that listing.
Awesome. Good for you. All right, so those are all great examples. Anybody look at your list and think you need to be doing more, or that you're doing way too much and you need to focus on specific things? It's all in your head. So now we're going to step into understanding lead generation. So again, lead generation is the most important part of your business. It is often the most painful and time consuming and sometimes costly part of your business as well. But you need it to stay relevant, to stay top of mind, to stay engaged, and then to gain clients. So there are two major types of prospect or of lead generation, and then there are some examples of lead generation that kind of tie in both. So to understand what exactly you're doing and what you should your outcome or your turnaround time or return of investment, those are typical words that you'll hear on these, is prospecting and marketing. So prospecting, that's your active, that's your I got my notes over here. That's your active, that's your proactive way of reaching people, that is your direct. So prospecting is all activities that you engage in to find leads. So you are seeking them when you're prospecting. So this is typically more time consuming, but it costs you less money. This is also where that sore spot comes in of making phone calls, meeting people face to face. People tend to shy away from prospecting because it is more daunting if you are not comfortable doing it. but I can promise you, your return on investment will be greater with prospecting than it ever will with marketing. So getting out of that fearful or that mythical mindset of, if I just don't do it, it'll go away and I'll be okay. It's unfortunately not going to happen. Start with what you're comfortable with and then grow. If phone calls is not your favorite thing, start with something that's not as bad. Have events, have coffee talks with people, like kind of set up a different thing to lead you into that. Once you get a little bit better with face-to-face encounters, then maybe you're going to try phone calls. Or focus on just FSBOs, if that's for sale by owners, or just expired listings, or just neighborhoods. If you have like a Mojo dialer or something like that, that you can do that cold calling and get that information. Or take a piece of marketing to then transition it into a prospecting, but prospecting is always going to be the heavier portion of your lead generation, especially in a shifting market. In a shifting market, they become just as important as one as the other, but still stay prospecting strong. So again, that's the phone calls, that's the face-to-face encounters, that's doing speaking events, that's teaching where you can. A lot of agents find success in doing like a first-time home buyer seminar, which would be a great event if you're comfortable speaking in front of people, but don't necessarily feel as comfortable with the intimate one-on-one sessions. Where the focus is 100,000% on you, just because there's nobody else in the room. Not saying the focus wouldn't be on you at an event like that, but there are other people around. You can typically do it in a kind of a lower key setting, or if you're trying to save money, you can do it in the office. But just some things to think about. Doing door-to-door canvassing, make sure you check the neighborhood rules and make sure there's soliciting rules, you're not violating them, but things like that. Networking events, setting up booths at fairs, at different events, stuff like that. So that is your more prospecting, that's your active, you are seeking leads. Then you have the marketing side, which is more passive or fishing, if you will. So the marketing is what drives leads to find you. So again, that's taking the work off of you somewhat. So it can be time consuming, but typically not as time consuming as prospecting, but it does cost money. So you are kind of putting it out there to the world and hoping that they respond. But you need to be aware, while marketing is great and it is absolutely necessary, that should not be your only form of lead generation, because the return on marketing is not as fast as prospecting. So you're not going to get a deal as quickly from a Facebook lead than you are from making phone calls to FSBOs or expireds. So just be a mindset, and there are always those one-offs that it does happen. I'm not saying it doesn't. They say on average it takes almost a year to get a return on investment or that conversion of a transaction from marketing versus prospecting. So you're looking more long-term for marketing. That's the longevity, that's the staying top of mind, that's the engagement, that's the, just the kind of treading on the water to stay up there with all the other people. But so just some examples of what marketing is as far as offline advertising, that's the magazines, that's the billboards, that's the shopping carts, that's the faces on the side of the bus. That is the offline marketing. Online marketing, you have pay-per-clicks, that's your Facebook ads. Those are the sponsored ads you see on your newsfeed that you didn't really ask for, but they're there anyways, because that big brother moment where they kind of gather information about what they think you'll like and they push it at you, which you have the ability to do that in command as well. Social media, obviously a huge one, doing blogs, stuff like that, online, anything on the internet. Broadcasting and content creation. So if you're doing live social media videos, TikToks, that kind of stuff, podcasts, that's a really big thing. That is all a form of marketing. Direct mail, promotional items and swag. So anytime you create pins or a t-shirt, that's all marketing. Press, PR, sponsorship. If you sponsor your kids' baseball team or soccer team, that's all marketing. So while it is 100% necessary and is almost just as important as prospecting in a shifting market, again, it can't be your only form of lead generation. You need to prospect as well. So some of you may or may not know Jill Rudler. She is a top agent in Ohio Valley region. She's also a top agent at KW Excel, the Westerville office. And she is also in the, is it the MREA or Shift? Let me look. Yep, MREA on page 137. This is her quote. Our business comes from referrals and reputation, but we still do a lot of marketing. We mail to our clients, our client base quarterly, and to our farm area monthly. So I wanted to pull a quote. One, it's awesome that she's in this book and that I know her, for one. And some of you may know her too. But for two, that goes to show you as a prime example of somebody who is relevant in the previous shifts, currently now, and is a top agent, that they do both. So referrals and reputation, that's all from prospecting in transactions. You cannot build a reputation without making those connections, direct connections, and without having transactions. And then, but she mentions, but we still have to market. We still do this marketing. So you still do those little touches just to stay relevant and top of mind. I can tell you from firsthand experience, when I bought my house, I have not heard from my realtor since. She wasn't a KW agent, so I can't say she had the best training. But just saying in general, like I literally have never heard from her since. And that was 7 years ago. So just to kind of give you a little mindset, would I use her again? Absolutely not. Just, she doesn't care to keep conversation, just to kind of give you an outside look of somebody who's not an agent. And it's statistically shown that it is a very low percentage of people who repeat use their agents. It's not usually because they have a bad experience, just because they're not top of mind. The majority of agents that get transactions, especially if it's somebody on their second transaction or multiple transaction, it is from a friend or family who recommended somebody, regardless of what connection they had before. So that is why it's important, even though you've had a transaction with that person, you still have those conversations. You are providing them value to their home. You're not just there to help them buy and sell or invest. You're there to give them a plumber that is, comes highly recommended, or you've worked with. Give them that cleaning person. Give them that, your favorite market in their area, stuff like that. You need to be able to give them value that pertains to them. So then we have some lead generation that is both prospecting and marketing. So it takes time and it still costs most of the time. So you're talking about farming, whether that's geographic or demographic. I think we often do geographic farming. We don't often do demographic farming. So Google that, try that out, ask other agents if they farm demographically. And that is based on school district, based on an age group, based on, a certain profession, stuff like that. So if you're in Columbus, it would behoove of you to get in on any Intel building meetings you can to help bring that in. That will help you get business, I guarantee you. So other things, events, open houses, seminar, contests, client events, like I mentioned, that is prospecting, but it also is marketing because there's usually marketing involved with those. But these are kind of best of both worlds. So open houses, you prospect for that, hopefully, and you also market for that, also hopefully. Networking, past clients, allied resources, and agents. If you are not networking with other agents, whether they're in your state, out of your state, you're missing out on big opportunities. You want those connections. That's why I said at the beginning, when we're talking about database, to include everybody in your database, regardless of where they live. Guarantee you, hand to God, can almost guarantee that everybody on this call knows somebody outside of their state, even with outside of their city, any area that you don't service as an agent, bet you know somebody. I know multiple people, and I'm not even an agent. So having those connections with agents in other states and other cities is beneficial to you for when you have a referral in their area, or they have a referral coming to you in your area. You're making a referral percentage off of that transaction. So where you would traditionally get nothing because you're not licensed in Texas, you are now getting 20, 25, or 30%, depending on what you agree with the other agent, for a transaction that you just gave them a lead. And that was really it. I mean, obviously you want to be hands-on and communicative with your client and that agent. But as far as going through the stress and the hustle and bustle of a whole transaction, you don't really have to do it. So if you have not looked in Command or are unaware, you do have a little tool that is called the Referral Network in Command. So I made a little video to show you. So you are in Command, you are clicking on the referrals, and then you are going up to the map. And then you search either by the city and state or the zip code if you know it, and hit search. And this will filter by the production of the agents that have listings in this area. So this is a pretty vague, so you're going to see a lot of numbers, but you have a whole map, and this will cover the whole United States. So I just chose Columbus because that's a zip code I knew, or Worthington. But you have that ability. And when you click on one of those agents, you can look at their contact info, you can look at their bio, all of that information is in there. So you can kind of have a conversation before you even send the referral to them or they to you. But it is important that you are connecting and networking with other agents. All right, so lead generation, still on that. If you haven't noticed, it's a big deal. So we're choosing your top 5 lead gen methods. There are 1,000 different ways to lead generate. 1,000, especially with social media, there's even more. So you need to focus on 5 of them. What are your 5 favorite, and 2, if you track and follow where your leads and business is coming from, where is your highest return on investment? So if it's referrals, then you need to be nurturing your database. Not saying you shouldn't, but making phone calls and connecting with those people are most important because that's where you're getting most of your business from. If it's sending newsletters, you need to make sure you are up to snuff, that you're giving the best information you can on those newsletters, and you need to be consistent. So choose your top 5. If you're a newer agent, or if you're not tracking your business right now, pick your favorite 5 or things that you are most committed to doing, meaning you are most likely going to do it, and just start with those. Start tracking. So if it's newsletters, you're going to send out a newsletter every month or how often you want. And you need to pay attention to, if you aren't doing it through Command, you need to see who responds. That's really the only way you can track it. If you do it through Command, you can look at delivered, you can look at sent, you can look at opened, you can look at clicks, and you can look at replies. Specifically in detail, names, email addresses, which email they responded or clicked on or opened. So you have a ton of reporting capabilities in Command. Utilize them. So you need to track for a quarter, which is 3 months, which ones you may want to do more than 5, just to kind of give you a better gauge. Maybe do 8 and see where you're getting the most engagement from. If you're doing phone calls, you need to be tracking, again, having a system, tracking them in Command. Did they answer? Did they talk? What did you talk about? When are you following up? So see which one is converting, which, and in 3 months might not be long enough, especially if you're doing more marketing stuff or any marketing stuff, that might not be the best gauge time frame. But just to kind of give you an idea of where you're getting the most bite from. But you do want that variety within those 5, don't let it all be prospecting, don't let it all be marketing. You want a good blemish of both. That way your lead generation tactics are sustainable through shifting market, through non-shifting market, wherever you're at. So choose 5. If you're new and don't really have an idea of where your leads are coming from, choose 8 and work on those dedicated for 3 months and see where you're at numbers wise in those 3 months. And then tweak it. And that's the great thing about lead generation methods is if you get tired of something or if it's not working, switch it. You don't have to stay with those 5. It is your business, but having 5 lead generation methods is going to help keep you sane. If you want to work Monday through Friday, as far as lead generation, you can focus on one lead gen type each day. If you want to, you can break your calendar down however you like, or you can do 2 one day for the first block, this one for the next block, and so on and so forth. So you could really change it up, but you should have 5 different lead generation methods to sustain your business. And I've also keyed in some smart plans down here. So for leads, if you go in the smart plan library and search Relevate's new lead follow-up, they have had over 2,000 downloads of the smart plan. It is text message, emails. It's just that initial connection to them to get them to respond to you. And then if you have contacts, KW's 8x8, that's got 67,000 downloads. I think that's probably a good one if a lot of people are using it. And that's just, again, to connect with them, have conversation, but consistency is key. If you commit to doing however many lead generation methods you want, stick with them. You're not going to see instant results 110% of the time, every time. Not saying you won't, but you need to stay consistent, because if you're like me and if I don't have my schedule blocked out, Lord only knows what I could do in one day, let alone a whole week. But if you have that set up and you have a clear path and system of what you want to do, it'll be a lot easier, and stick to it. Okay, let's see. Ding, 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 ding. Okay, so focusing your efforts on the marketing side. So I realize this does not equal 100%, which you should not be getting 100% of your leads. And I think it's like 82%, but still. So focusing your efforts. This was on a call recently with the international leadership. So you should have 4 of your 4 marketing sources. 41% of your leads should come from source 1, 20% from source 2, 12% from source 3, and 9% from source 4. So again, you want to expect to wait a year before you're going to see really a return on investment as far as marketing goes. This is the long game. This is the long term, the in it for the long haul. This is the marriage portion of lead generation. This is not the speed dating portion of lead generation. So again, those percentages are the amount of leads you should generate by the source. And I don't have specific sources on there because that should be, again, pertaining to you and your business, whether that's open houses, whether that's, again, which I know is both, whether that's Facebook ads, whether that's, whichever works best for your business. And then if you are already marketing, you may want to evaluate the messaging that you are putting into your marketing. So if you are still saying, I got this listing for $50,000 over asking price, that may not be the best narrative to say right now, just because things are starting to shift down a little bit. The getting over asking price is not as common right now, at least in Columbus area. Still heard of, don't get me wrong, it's still happening. In quick turnaround on days on market, it's still happening, but not as often. So we're starting to see it a little bit. So if you are marketing heavily, just making sure the information and the message that you are sending is relevant to what's happening right now. Focusing on how, although the federal government's changing a lot of stuff, it's not affecting the housing market as badly as they would think. So people don't know. They are just oblivious to what's happening. They're either, if they're of the home buying age, they were a teenager or a very young adult during the last recession. And this, I don't even want to call it a recession. I guess you technically can. This recession is not where we were at in 2007, 2008. So our interest rates, while they are higher than what they've been, they are normal. So helping them understand that and really focusing on, you know, hey, what is your monthly maximum? How can we get there? Working hard with your lenders, having those lender relationships is really going to help you right now. But make sure, I know I'm kind of getting off on a tangent, making sure your messaging is appropriate to what's happening now is going to help them build that gain, that trust, that rapport, and then also help communicate quicker. Make sure I'm covering all that. Awesome. So some tools for lead generation. So now we've talked about lead generation till we're blue in the face, I feel. So here are the tools that you need. So one of my good favorite quotes from GK, Gary Keller himself: fewer leads, fewer showings, and increased days on the market. The minute these signs show up, take notice. This is page 49 in the shift book. This is literally part of the words of tactic. I think it's 3. Hold on. 49. Tactic number 4. I was one early. Find the motivated lead generation. So this is literally Gary writing about how you lead generate in a shifting market, what you're experiencing right this second. So if you don't have this book, like I said, buy it, get it on Audible, steal it from your team leader. Somebody in leadership has this book that you can borrow. So read this. And that is literally the first sentence out of tactic 4. You're seeing, I don't know if you're seeing fewer leads yet, possibly not 100%. You may be seeing fewer showings, especially if you have listings, you're probably seeing that. You are seeing increased days on market. I'll be honest, I don't know what Kentucky's is. Average days on market, I think, for Columbus realtors right now is like 14. I feel like not, but 6 months ago it was like 4 days. So we're in it. We're in it. You need to take notice. You need to have your systems in place. You need to be on your lead generation game because they're not coming to you anymore. You got to go to them. So number 1 tool for lead generation is mindset. If you are not mentally in this, you won't survive it. And I hate to sound harsh and negative like that, but it's not too late. So have that mindset that you're going to do this. You can do this. There is an agent in our office at Keller Williams Capital Partners in Worthington. He was licensed in 2007, which is in right smack when the recession started. He was 18 at the time, I believe, 18 or 19. He is now one of the top agents, like within the top 5 of our region, of the Ohio Valley region. So he survived, and he's an individual agent. Let me tell you that. He's not a team. So if he can do it, because he had a strong mindset, he time blocks, he has a system, and all the rest is kind of common sense. But it's totally 1,000% possible. Even if you're a new agent, you can do this. If you are dedicated to it, you have the leadership, you have the resources, you're in the most sharing and training brokerages in the world. Keller Williams, other brokerages, I've heard it from out of agents' mouths themselves, they're not as sharing and training oriented as some others. So I'm not saying they don't offer that. Just if any other agent, don't get mad at me if it sounds like I'm dogging other brokerages, but we have the systems, we have the tools to help you succeed. So get over that fear and we will help you win. So mindset, without a growth mindset, don't expect change. Even if you've been in this industry for 20 years, if you don't have a proper mindset, you're not going to survive. Time blocking. It's not on your calendar. It doesn't exist. Like I said earlier, if it's not on my calendar, likely I will forget it. just because there are so many different moving parts. Like you have so many, you have work, you have home, all of it. So time block. Get your calendar. I don't care if it's a digital calendar. I don't care if it's a calendar on the wall. I do both. As you can see, I don't use this one as much. It's still on July, but I use Google Calendar for work. Home is straight paper calendar. So I use both. I'll be completely transparent with that, but time block your calendar. Even if you don't have a whole booming business, it is still important for you to time block your calendar. Get your systems in place. What is your process for each activity? So now once you have your time blocking, you need to know what you're doing during that time block. So if it's your lead generation time block, if you're making phone calls, do you have your phone charged? Do you have command up and ready to, make your notes? Is your computer charged? Stuff like that. You have to, the prep and the tracking and the following up. So if you don't have your system in place for your phone call, your tracking, and then what happens after you hang up the phone and after you make your notes, if there has to be that full connection from start to finish. Tools, again, these are physical tools now. A computer. If you don't have a computer, are you an agent? I feel. I mean, I try hard on my tablet and my phone, but I go back to my trusty computer every day. Your phone, doesn't matter what you have. You could have a jitterbug for all I care. If you can make phone calls, that's all you need. That's all you need. Phone. Make sure it's charged. Get the extended battery cases. Get the portable chargers. Plug it into your computer and charge it. Command. I understand not every team uses command. I understand not everything is your favorite in command, but some things that are really, really solid in command is your database and your opportunities pipeline. Between those two and tasks, you should be able to take care of everything you need as far as tracking. Not saying you can do everything. You can technically do everything in command as far as marketing, prospecting, so on and so forth. But I know not everybody loves every aspect of command, and that's your choice. You're not required to use it other than opportunities for commissions and compliance. But if your team uses a different platform, that's great. That's absolutely use it. I'm not saying to stray away from it. If it works for you, if it works for your team, even if you're an individual agent and you don't use command, I would never dog it. Whatever works for you, I'm totally game for it. But if you're a newer agent or you don't want to spend the money on a different CRM or anything like that, use command. And if you didn't know, Command Mobile is the mobile version of command, is an app. Download it. So I have the Android and the Apple version here. So if you don't have it downloaded, scan that with your phone right now if you're not on your phone and download it. And you will log in using your command username and password. It's really cool as far as like your phone calls for prospecting for lead generation. You can pull up their information on Command Mobile. You click on to call them. You talk. Hey, it was great to catch up. Okay, gotta go. Bye. You hang up. You go back to the Command Mobile app. And it says, do you want to log your activity? So it reminds you to log your activities. I think that's such a huge thing for agents when you're on the go, is if you get a phone call or you can actually track that stuff on the app. So use it or don't, either or. But those are both the QR codes to scan. If you don't know how to use a QR code, open the camera on your phone, put it up to the QR code, whichever one, and it'll pop up for you to click on a link. Click on it, it'll take you right to your app store. I've tried to think of it all. So just to give you some examples of time blocking, because that was something I really stressed. This was pulled from one of the KW brokerage websites. So this is like an example calendar. So from 6:30 to 8, they're waking up, they're exercising, they're eating breakfast, and they're meditating. 8:30, from 8:30 to 9, they're doing scripts and practicing, which we'll talk a little bit about. From 9 to 11, they're lead generating. From 11 to 12, they're returning calls and emails. From 12 to 1, they are eating lunch or having lunch with a potential talent or affiliate vendor. So this again can be interchangeable, like an interchangeable meeting. 1 to 2, they're following up with leads. 2 to 4, they're on appointments. 4 to 5:30, contract close. I would assume that is like doing their paperwork, putting their stuff in their opportunities. And then from 5:30 to 6:30 is dinner and family time. If you don't think your calendar can look like this, it can, I promise you. When you have your son's baseball game at 5:30, but you have a client that's like, oh, I really want to see this house at 5:30. If you say, oh, my kid's game is at then, but I can be a little bit late. How do you think, not even thinking of how does that sound, but you feel if it's something you personally are going to, that you should give up that time? No, it is an appointment. Anything personal that's happening that you don't want to miss is an appointment, and put it on your calendar, even your work calendar. If you have a separate one, put it on your work calendar. You should always have your personal stuff. Vacation goes first. Family events go second, then everything else. Put it on your calendar. It is an appointment, whether you want to, I know it doesn't sound right to call it an appointment, but treat it like one. Because if you had a showing already scheduled with another client at 5:30, you wouldn't say, oh, let me reschedule that appointment with that client and I will put you there. You would not do that. So why would you give up your kids' games or anything along those lines? Family, a doctor's appointment, anything like that. Prioritize you. That I know it sounds selfish and I know that's not going to make you money technically, but you never know. You could have a conversation with a parent there at your game and get a new lead. It's totally possible. I'm just saying, treat those times like sacred times. So I also wanted to show you my crazy calendar. And this is literally this week. I pride myself on my color coding. So I just kind of wanted to give you another example. Obviously, I'm not an agent, but everything, this is a Google calendar. So everything in purple, those happen every day or every week, how they fall automatically. I have those set up that I don't even have to add anything for the rest of eternity. It will always be on my email or on my calendar. Every morning, as soon as I get to the office, I go through my emails from whenever I get here till 9 o'clock when I need to jump on leadership calls. And then every day at 10 o'clock, I'm doing my 411 review. And on Fridays, I do my 411 for the following week, and so on and so forth. Or if it's the month, I do a whole new one, so on and so forth. If you notice, today I have 2 catch-up buffer blocks. That was because I've been out of the office Thursday and Friday. So I'm allowing time for myself to make up because I had 100 emails in one email. And in my second email, I had 95. So that's going to take more than 30 minutes to really go through, respond, so on and so forth. And then just everything else that comes at me on a day-to-day, but it kind of spirals because it's extra. And then giving me a time to make sure I'm prepared for this class today, so on and so forth. So anything is purple is on my schedule, permanent, redundant, every time, every day, exactly the same. Anything that's gray is a Zoom call, so I know exactly when I look at my calendar what it is. Anything that's red is a hard stop. You can't move it. You can't change it. That's today at 3 if you're Eastern time, 2 if you're Central. That's my tech training time. And then the ALC meeting, that's red. It's also pink too, because I overlay my calendar. So that's why you see some duplicate stuff and things overlapping. But my tech lead gen, when I reach out to agents every day at 2:30, except for Wednesdays. And then I have blocks set in my calendar for 30 minutes and for an hour, the end of day block, the EOD block you see, and then just the block at 2 p.m. Those are my blocks that I have for emergency meetings, anything that can't wait. And then everything that's white, that is where you have free range to schedule you, the agent, onto my calendar. So I allow you, if you want to do any onboarding, anything like that, or any training, I always give you that opportunity. It just makes it easier to schedule through my Calendly. But just to, if you are a visual person like me, having those color coordination really helped me, because I came from the medical field, I'll be completely honest, that I didn't really have to follow a schedule other than like my client or patients coming in. That was the only really schedule I followed. Here, I don't have as much structure with that, because everything was pretty cut and dry. So, and I'm visual, so I need to be able to see what, when, where, why, how. So, and right here, I can see it. And then up here at the top, you can like put some notes. So my team leader at Cat Partners is out Wednesday through Friday, and I just put those notes. So contracts 2 is tomorrow, stuff like that. So if you like the digital version, I recommend you do color coordinate, which this was color coordinated as well. But do a color system if it works for you, but use your calendar. If you use a paper calendar, but you like the color coordination system, get different colored pens. I do that at home. All my daughter's baseball games or softball games are blue, light blue. All my son's baseball games are black. All of our like family events or friend events are orange. Anything with a school is green, and so on and so forth. So I like my color system. So use it. It can be doable. Just wanted to show you an example of not just what they say you should do, but like my actual live calendar. Okay, lovely MOFers. If you've never heard of this term, it is obviously a acronym that KW loves. So to get back on track here, so MOFer, make an offer for immediate response. That's what MOFer stands for. So you want to be offering your clients, your database, anyone, offer something of value to them. Not always can you do blanket emails, blanket statements, you know, happy holidays, that's fine. But having that custom personalized information, suggestion, or offers is going to go 1,000 times further than just here's some general information that you may or may not care about. So if you see somebody post on Facebook in a say like a Facebook group or on their news feed or like on their Facebook post or Instagram or whatever, and it's asking, hey, I need a roofer, who do you recommend? Reach out to them. Don't, whether it's just a comment, that's fine, but call them. If you have their contact information, if you don't, private message them on Facebook. Say, hey, I saw your post. I want to let you know that I love this roofer and this roofer. This roofer recently just did my house or my mom's house or my last client's house. They did great. Their customer service was great. The pricing is very on point for what's the market right now. Like giving them authentic information and something of value to what they need right now is going to go a long way. Even if it's not real estate related, if you're a parent and you see somebody or hear somebody talking about, you know, what's the best crib to buy, what's, you know, and it seems silly, but if you're giving them something of value, they're more likely to return the favor and use you as their agent when that time arises. Again, this could be a long-term thing, not saying it's going to get you a lead right then and there, but if you're getting immediate response, you're more likely to get engaged quicker and you'll start that conversion quicker. So make offer for immediate response. So if you're sending a text message, what would be the number to get your house on the market? Or what would be the number to get your house sold? Anything along those lines. Not blanket statements, not blanket emails, something of value and something they'll respond to. And then scripting. So of course, you need to practice what you're saying. Objection handling, that's probably going to be the biggest one right now. And I'll share with you something that somebody else shared with me. So again, practice. I didn't put as many practices as I did your database is your business, but practicing scripting. I know it sounds silly. I know it seems goofy, especially when you practice with other people or by yourself, but saying it over and over again until you sound comfortable and it sounds like you, and it's not going to become then it doesn't feel like a script. It's just going to become how you say and how you respond. I'm not saying the verbiage and everything's got to be the same, the exact every time. But having those understandings and the verbiage and the thought process of how the conversation's going is going to help you so much in the long run. So practice every day. If you noticed in that example calendar, there was script practice every day. Practice with other agents, friends, family, if they're willing to play along. I know sometimes it's easier to do it with agents than friends or family, and they kind of look at you like, why are you doing this? But other agents in the office, it's a great way to make a connection, build that bond between the two of you, or however many there are of you. But having those conversations and that practice, it makes it feel less awkward and robotic and more natural. And then when you go to say it on a client or a potential client, it's going to sound way better. It's going to be smoother. It's going to feel just like a conversation versus you're reading it off a piece of paper. If you're on the phone with somebody, you can tell how many times they've said their script. If you called a brokerage, a Keller Williams brokerage, it's a great day at Keller Williams Capital Partners. This is Rachel. How may I help you? How many times do you think I've said that? A million. I could say it in my sleep because I've said it so many times. That's a script. It's silly, but it's a script. That's how you answer the phone at our office at the front desk. So most Keller Williams offices, not saying all, none, not bad if you don't, but that's just the script that we use. And as if you're saying it with a smile, it's going to sound peaceful and calming and welcoming. But that's how your conversations should feel, especially when you're lead generating, cold calling, FSBOs, that kind of stuff. You have to be ready for those objections. So one that was shared with me on a call recently was agent called. This was for a potential listing, and he had spoken to the one spouse, and they were to the point where they were ready to set an appointment. And he was like, great, I would love to set up a time to meet with you and your partner. Would tomorrow at 6 or Thursday at 7 work for you? Or what, I don't know what the times were specifically, but they were like, oh, I think I need to talk to my partner first before I schedule anything. And he said, you know, so-and-so, I think we can both agree that it is important for you to have the best school district for your kids, is it not? And she said, well, yeah. And he said, well, how about we go ahead and schedule it, talk it over with your partner tonight. And if this date or time doesn't work out, I'll follow up again tomorrow just to make sure that that's a good time. And then they scheduled. So having that, again, that objection handling is going to help you. So they're going to say, yeah, well, let me see what works. If that works for my husband or my partner or my spouse or my wife or my boyfriend or whomever, and say, okay, well, you know, get back to their why instead of, well, you can't do this, or I'm the best, you know, you don't have to go there. Just go back to their why. Why are they looking in a different school district? Why are they, you know, why are they buying? Why are they downsizing? Why, you know, make it personal to them. And then following up, he said, I will call you tomorrow to confirm that that time still works. So one, that doesn't let that person get out of that appointment that you've set unless they really absolutely need to. And two, that's kind of taking the brunt off of the prospect, basically, of if they want to get out of that commitment, they still can. Does that make sense? It kind of confirms it, but also doesn't take it away. It's kind of a yin and yang almost. So you've set an appointment, so they're more likely to attend it because they feel bad if you just don't show up or don't cancel. Not saying it won't happen, but it can, but less likely. But then I'm also going to follow up with you tomorrow as another step to secure that appointment. So make sure you're doing both. And then if you are newer or not sure where to start as far as scripting, there is a YouTube channel I've linked in here, and I'll send everyone the slides, which has the link, but the QR code also is the same. So there is Coach Pauly C, or his actual name is Pauly Campanaro. He is an agent, KW agent in Texas. He has a ton of videos on scripting. So check those out, watch them, they're really good. And just get to script practicing. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Anything you'd like to hear? I know we're right at an hour. Feel free to put it in the chat if you have anything. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how. I'm going to stop share. All right. If you think of anything, let me know. I'm happy to help, and I am here. I will, like I said, I will send out the slides so you have everything, all the information to look back on. I hope you all enjoyed this, and I will see you soon.
Thanks, Rachel.
My pleasure. Thank you, Bonnie.
Have a good night.
Thank you all. Bye.